Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to another Pallavi Market Research video. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the basics of how to read a GitHub repository. A repository is essentially a bookshelf, if you will. So we'll use this analogy of a library, right? It's a bookshelf full of books that are owned by a specific project or individual. So in this instance, you can see we're looking at Ava Labs code repository on GitHub. Ava Labs is the organization in charge of is the people responsible for the Avalanche blockchain. So you'll see that they have a whole lot of repositories in here and a lot of projects within those repositories, right? Because they have different code bases, like you can write Avalanche in Go and Rust, TypeScript, Solidity, JavaScript. So they have different repositories for those different code bases, as well as different projects within those individual repositories. Now, we're going to just jump into one of these repositories and we'll just hop into the subnet EVM, which is written in Go, which is a programming language if you don't already know. Okay. So there are a few things that you want to know right off the bat. We're going to cover like what a pull request is, what a branch, all these things, forks. But the most important thing whenever you pull up to one of these is you want to jump to the README document. So if I can find it here, this is the README document. And this essentially describes everything you need to know about what is in here, what you can do with this, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't know what a subnet EVM is, it's a horizontal scaling solution in the context of Avalanche, meaning you can deploy your own unique blockchain with its own unique characteristics utilizing Avalanche's consensus mechanism, right? Another way of saying that is that like you can basically run your own blockchain with your own gas tokens and everything while utilizing all of the technology consensus, everything that Avalanche has developed behind the scenes without anyone really knowing. So that is what a subnet EVM is. But let's keep walking through and defining each of these things. So we defined a repository. We defined what these README files are. These commits are really important because a commit is essentially when the project owners, the repository owners, update the original source code. Okay, so that's what a commit is. A branch is basically a different version of it. So if someone like, and you can see that there's a bunch of different branches here, right? So that's like if someone, like if there's like a version 1 or a version 2 built off of the original repository. And then there's something called a fork, which is a fork. You probably heard that term before, like a fork in the code, right? So like a lot of decentralized exchanges are actually just Uniswap forks, meaning they took the original source code from the Uniswap repository and they forked the code and made it their own. So this is essentially like if you copy a book in a library, take it with you and then edit it and make it your own, right? Another important thing is these pull requests. So a pull request is really like the update, it's like requested update. So if you are using it, it's basically your ability as a user of the repository to request changes or updates to the overall code base. Okay? So what else is there? I would say that the other big ones are like obviously issues. This is just like as it, if you this is pretty much similar to a pull request, but a lot more informal, so this is where you essentially point this out. And then you can either kind of extract you can kind of extract these things to make it your own in 3 different ways. You can clone it, fork it, or download it. Okay. And yeah, I mean, and then you can go and like see these different insights of how this is being utilized. So this is, I imagine, a more underutilized repository for them. So if we go to their other popular ones, yeah, you can see the Avalanche Go is where people are really developing. You see there's 2,000 people who've saved this. There's 606 forks. So that's where so this is another way of, understanding an ecosystem, because you can do the same thing. Like we can pull up, like Polygon GitHub. So we go to Polygon. we can see their available repositories and the code languages that they're writing in, right? So we can see that this is primarily everything's primarily written in JavaScript here, and they don't actually have really much Go. But this can be helpful when you're like hiring freelancers, and so you can actually know how to speak to these people, right? In case you are ambitious enough to start your own decentralized application, right? If you want, and it, for example, if you want to integrate the Avalanche wallet to that integration, you can see that it's all open source right here, right? And that 160 people are currently utilizing it that way. But yeah, that's today's video, guys. I just want to kind of give you a highlight, like a high level overview of how these things work and just like define some of these terms. I'm not like a, I'm not like a developer in the sense, but I do know how to, do basic reading of these things. So hope this was helpful, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right. See you guys.